Blood flow restriction, brain trickery, and occlusion bands. Sounds all a bit dodgy. You don't always need to lift really heavy to get really good results. In this video, I'm going to show you how to mimic an intense workout by tricking the brain to make it think that it's more intense than it actually is. We're going to be talking about occlusion training, and it's going to make your muscles grow faster and stronger. We're going to start right now. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name's Jason Davies here at Body Remastered. Today we're going to talk about something really interesting and a little bit intimidating. It involves occlusion training, which is blood flow restriction. And it's great. I've tried it before, and if you've tried it before, let us know in the comments. I'm going to let you know how you can really utilise it in your training to build a great muscular pump, but also to yield some great results. Even if you have an inability to lift really heavy weights, or maybe you fancy a change and you notice some joint issues, occlusion training is such a great way to mix up your training. Before we go any further, as always, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. There's some more great videos coming up, and please like. If you don't like my videos, then I'm going to find it harder to keep making videos and for everyone to start seeing some of the great work that we're doing here at Body Remastered. So like the video if you can, and I'll be forever appreciative. So what is occlusion training? Occlusion training is ultimately using occlusion bands or occlusion straps, and I'll show you some of them later in the video, and putting them around your arms or your legs most typically to restrict blood flow while you're carrying out the muscular contractions. If you've never tried this before, it's great because we at Body Remastered believe ultimately you've got to try a range of different methodologies and techniques to really stimulate growth. We talk about the plateau techniques. This is another great plateau technique, and you can incorporate it all the time, occlusion training. So why does occlusion training work? Well, ultimately, do you remember me saying about it tricks the brain? That's no lie. It actually does. It changes the output of a little gland in the brain called the pituitary gland, and it causes it to release growth-like hormones, and that's great for protein synthesis and building muscle. Remember I said before, and if you're not sure, go to www.bodyremastered.com and check out the different muscle fibers. There's two main types of muscle fibers, type 1 and type 2. Type 2 muscle fibers are really important in building muscle, and they respond to heavy weight and typical doing repetitions to failure, so very intense exercises. But you don't always need that to build muscle. Another way of doing it is to do lower weights with an occlusion band, so actually restricting the blood flow while you're doing it. It will respond in the same way, and it will activate type 2 muscle fibers, because the type 1 muscle fibers fatigue very quickly with occlusion training, and therefore it forces type 2 muscle fibers to engage as if you were doing a really heavy workout. So it kind of tricks the brain. It's really clever. So let's have a look. Why does it work? Number one, it causes cell swelling. It causes a build-up of fluid in the muscular cells, and that forces ultimately the muscles to grow, because otherwise the cells are going to burst. And it causes a build-up of metabolites and molecular stress, and that is one way to build muscle. The next thing, and the reason why occlusion training works, is the low oxygen levels. The blood restriction causes initial low oxygen levels, and this causes the recruitment of fast twitch muscle fibers, again essential for muscle building. And the third reason is the low oxygen levels in that muscle group causes the build-up of lactate or lactic acid, and that's again really important when it comes to protein synthesis and building muscle. It also plays a part in that. And the fourth reason, this is really important, we want to emphasize this at Body Remastered. By carrying out occlusion training, you're going to adapt your body to more intense intervals of training, basically prolonged exertion, because your body won't be able to handle that sort of blood restriction for a long period, and therefore your body will adapt to get more used to it. So even when you're training without an occlusive band, which we'll get to in a second, you'll get better at doing it because you're practicing occlusion training. So we have an equivalent blog at www.bodyremastered.com on occlusion training. So check that out, because we've got product links that go to Amazon and some great things like that that we really recommend you start off, especially if you're new to occlusion training. They're really cheap. You can get some elastic bands or straps to start using for your arms and your legs. So give it a go, check out the links and go onto there to check them out. But there's a few questions that you need to consider in this video now before you start your occlusion training journey. First question is, what muscle groups does occlusion training typically work? It doesn't work for everything, okay, but it typically really works well for the arms and the legs, really well. And here we're going to show you in this video a great arm workout and a great leg workout that we've used at Body Remastered that works perfectly, and you get some great gains following that occlusive training. Okay, the first one is the arm blaster, and this is great. You're going to do a curl, and then you're going to follow that with a tricep exercise. So the first one is a dumbbell curl or barbell curl. I want you to do 2 to 3 sets of 30 repetitions. Now remember, the weight has got to be much lower than usual, so under 80% of your 1 rep max. Okay, we're not trying to trigger heavy weight here. You're going to get no advantage of doing heavy weight. So try and aim for about 30 to 40 to 50% of your 1 rep max. So lightweight and really short rest intervals. So between the 3 sets, only carry out about 20 to a 30-second rest time, next straight into another 30 reps. Then, once you finish your 3 sets of the bicep exercise, go straight into the tricep pushdown. Again, 2 to 3 sets of 30 repetitions. But remember, make sure you do a rest for at least a minute between the bicep exercises and the tricep exercises, but ultimately, between those exercises, only 20 to 30 seconds. Remember, this is really intense in terms of blood delivery and endurance, but it's not heavy weight, so keep the weights light. Okay, next one is the leg developer. I want you to start off with the body weight squat. With the body weight squat with the straps around, the occlusion straps around your legs. So start off with, I want you to do 4 sets in total, and the first set will be a set of 30, the second set 15, third set 15, fourth set 15, and only have 30 seconds in between each set. Then, straight after that, I want you to do the standing or walking lunge. Again, with the strap, the occlusion strap around you, and you're going to be carrying out 3 sets of between 10 to 20 reps. Again, 30 seconds in between each set. But whoa, before you go ahead and try some of those exercises, they're going to make a huge difference. Let's just talk about safety for a sec. Make sure, especially if you're new to occlusion training, you don't use the straps and make them too tight. Basically, if I was going to put a scale of about 1 to 10, 10 being really tight, so tight you're getting pins and needles, which you do not want, by the way, you should be aiming around about 4 to 7. 7 if you're a bit more advanced, but if you're new to this, start off around about 4. In fact, start a bit looser and then get gradually a little bit more tighter. You can still yield great results with a relatively loose tightness because it still is causing blood restriction. So, how should you incorporate occlusion training straight away if you want to include it into your workout regime? So, a couple of factors to consider. First one, keep it light. As I said, under 80% of your 1 rep max. Okay, even though it will yield the same benefits as lifting heavy, you don't need to lift heavy because you're taking advantage of occlusion training. So, because of the occlusive band, you can lift a lot lighter, aim for a high number of repetitions with very short rest time to yield the same benefits. Next, keep frequency low. If you're new to occlusion training, you shouldn't be doing it any more than 1 to 2 times a week. So you can maybe incorporate it into a push workout and 1 pull workout, and then leave it as that throughout the whole week. Only really advanced levels should you be intensifying it with, making it even more. But I wouldn't suggest adding it every day in your workout. There's no need. Just incorporate it slightly, and then make sure that you're doing all the other basics as well in terms of strength. And there's a couple of other points. Make sure that you use the right type of strap. And there's some really good ones that are affordable, which I'm going to touch on in a second. And make sure you warm up before you carry out occlusion training. It's no different. The warm up, the occlusion training itself does not count as a warm up. You have to do a warm up without any band or occlusion band, and then conduct your occlusion band. As I said, what I would typically do as part of what we recommend at Body Remastered is carry out your normal workout, and maybe as a finisher, include some occlusion training. It's a great way to force blood into the muscles that you've worked, and again, finish it off in a great way where protein synthesis is really going to be high when you finish the workout. So, in terms of equipment please go down to the link literally in the description box under this YouTube video and check out the blog at www.bodyremastered.com. We've got some product reviews that we've got on there in terms of what types of occlusion straps work best. The main one that we recommend is the Autotech adjustable occlusion band. This works for the legs and the arms in one band. And as I said, you can put it both on at the same time if you're doing bicep curls, and the same with both legs. It's really good. It's robust. They're thick, and you can adjust them, and they're very comfortable. And you know that they're going to be yielding the results by causing enough restriction, but not too much. And there's some other product reviews as well. Check them all out in the blog. There's different options you can take, but we refer you straight to the different sites where you can buy the product and try your occlusion training right here today. As I said, occlusion training mimics exertion. It mimics a harder environment in which you've carried out that workout. So I'm not saying it's easy, occlusion training, but the benefits, what your brain thinks you're actually doing, is even more intense in what you're doing. You're going to accrue loads of type 2 muscle fibers, and we know that type 2 muscle fibers are really good at building muscle and building strength. So it will really remaster your body and change you and move you to the next level of performance if you include a bit of occlusion training. So that's all, folks. Thanks very much for listening as always. Please subscribe so you don't miss out on the next video. See you again soon. Bye bye.